regarding the relevance of our degrees, something that was not substantiated in any way. And I would like to stress that there was no attention paid to the fact that most of our universities have increased substantially the output of science graduates over the last 5 years. Also, in the field of nursing, for example, our universities have the greatest number of nurses being trained within the state of Connecticut. We have here a program in public health at this university. And we have also the only public or private program in healthcare information systems that does not exist at any other university. And healthcare is 20% of the Connecticut economy. So I do not understand why some people claim our degrees are not relevant.
Jeff?
I'm Jeff Trawick-Smith. I'm the coordinator of the Early Childhood Education Program here at Eastern. I'm going to ask a question that may not sound like it's related directly to higher ed, but I really think it's at the heart of what we're facing here. It has to do with the willingness of the legislature to relook at the tax structure that's been proposed by our governor. My feeling is, it's my perception that there is, if we're talking about balance and we're talking about fairness, that there is something of an imbalance in regard to what we expect of our citizens in Connecticut in terms of higher taxes. And I'm talking particularly about what I consider to be a relatively minimal tax increase that's been proposed for the very wealthiest, and there are many wealthy families in Connecticut. So I wondered if I could get the legislators here to comment on your belief about the fairness of the tax structure that the governor has proposed, and whether you'd be willing to put on the table a kind of a new look at that.
Yeah, you raise an excellent point. 2 years ago in the biennial budget, when we had to negotiate with Governor Rell, who wanted no tax increases whatsoever, at the end of those long and drawn-out negotiations, she did agree to a tax increase, and it was all on those making $500,000 as an individual or $1 million as a couple. So that was at the higher end of the scale. And that raised about $1 billion, just under about $900 million or thereabouts. Governor Malloy, as you know, in order to close a $3.2, $3.3 billion deficit, is proposing about $700 million and change in cuts, the $1 billion of concessions that he's asking for, concessions and savings, and $1.5 billion in tax changes and increases. And you're right. If you analyze the tax increases, they probably fall heaviest percentage-wise on those making between $60,000 and $120,000 a year, and not as heavily. There are increases all along the line. The increase for those at the top end goes from 6.5 to about 6.7%. So we have raised some questions about that. And I think probably the answers coming back would be that if you average 2 years ago together with the increases being proposed today, that it's sort of a wash. But I think we have to dig into those numbers a little bit more and see if it's possible to flatten out that bulge in terms of the increase that seems to be hitting hardest right at middle-income folks. But again, what the governor has been saying, he's been talking about shared sacrifice. So even when it comes to tax increases, as opposed to 2 years ago when it was all on those folks making between $500,000 and $1 million and up, he is looking at tax increases that really affect everybody all along the spectrum.